everyone, and welcome to our Phoenix Rising TV. We are joined today with very special guest Jake Harrison, who I had the pleasure to meet last year walking down my road in London. Jake is a freelance journalist, and he was consulting for the Sun newspaper when I met you last year. Thank you for joining us today, Jake.
My pleasure. I'm honoured to be involved.
Yes, thank you. And we've also got Fiona and Tanith, founding Phoenixes and entrepreneurs. Fiona, normally you lead these Phoenix Rising TVs, but because I already know Jake, I thought I would step in and lead today. But however, we'll have an informal discussion today about the media, about how it's a bit of doom and gloom out there at the moment, and Phoenix Rising is offering a positive platform that people can come to and meet like-minded people and be inspired and collaborate. So Jake, you've been admiring us from afar last few months. What is it that drew you to Phoenix Rising?
I just found with Phoenix Rising, it was a place where I could escape. It was a place where, being a journalist in such a hectic industry, I mean, this pandemic has really decimated the industry, and it's so full on, and every day we seem to be hit with more bleak news, more rising numbers and infections. And of course, as a journalist, it's my duty to investigate and to bring out the truth. But at the same time, it's also important for my mental health, being locked down, to find a place where I could switch off and relax and get the fire in my belly and the positivity back and the dreams back. And that's when I found Phoenix Rising, because it's a collective group of wonderful, like-minded, driven people who all share one common goal. And it's just it's a beautiful place. And I since tuning into Phoenix Rising, I've never felt more positive and hopeful for the future. So I'm honoured to be involved and to be here today.
Amazing, thanks, Jake. No, that's the purpose of Phoenix Rising, isn't it, Tanith?
Yeah, it really is. I mean, it's about connection. I think that's something that everybody's really missing at the moment, is connecting with one another. And one of the things I love about Phoenix Rising is it's such a beautiful place to connect, but you're not just connecting with random human beings, you're connecting with a real group of people that are really dedicated to change, I suppose. It's very, very easy at the moment, isn't it, to sit with the news on, constant streaming, but it's really bad for your mental health to be listening to that. And even those reports are really, really necessary. What I love about Phoenix Rising is you can go over to a platform that's full of inspiring, solution-driven articles and features and all of that stuff.
Exactly, because I find as well at the end of the day, like I suppose most of us do, we scroll on our phones and we go on the Instagrams and the Twitters and the Facebooks. But obviously, a lot of news, a lot of journalists and media, organizations are on these, platforms too. So when you're trying to switch off, sometimes you're scrolling through more news, and you're scrolling through more. Well, doom scrolling is a real, word, isn't it? And you're thinking, Christ, I want to relax. I can't get away from it. With Phoenix Rising, I find I can get away from all of that, and I can just, dive into a new world and listen to music, or discover your talent, or to tune in with you. And it's just a brilliant, safe haven to go to, when it's all too much.
Isn't it interesting, Jake? We're in the same industry. So I'm a television presenter, voiceover artist, and I created Platform Inspires, which is my YouTube channel, for the simple reason that my niece was going to university, and I wanted to collaborate all of my skills and everything into one place. Yeah. And my niece was going to university, and she held up her phone, and as Jake succinctly puts it in his song, she's the first one in my family to bust up the silence and go to uni. So she held up my phone and she's like, Fiona, we don't watch television, we watch this. Okay. And she said, and there's nothing on there that's of any hope. It's all about how to lose weight quickly, how to do this, how to do that, back in 2016, this is what she was talking about. And I really started to look at it. And then of course, all of our news was every day you woke up, a young person had been stabbed on the streets. There was nowhere for them to go, that actually there is a different life. So I launched Platform Inspires because I got interviewed to an extraordinary, one of the first Black actresses to be in the Harry Potter theatre production, who was giving a Skype call with children in India. So you can see where I'm going with that. So that's what I flew in with. and then met Kerry O'Brien, the fabulous Kerry O'Brien, who took me to meet Tanith and Tiffany at it was the Positive 4 Youth Awards. And I was like, I knew that there was a world. I knew that there was a group of young, which I knew there was anyway because of another organization that I belong to, but I knew there was more than one. That was what I was seeking. And then it's just evolved from there. And I interviewed Tiffany and Tanith. I interviewed Inspiring Vanessa first, their 10-year-old international award-winning motivational speaker. Blow your mind. And then I interviewed, after their global change ambassadors, I finally got to track these two down, Tanith and Tiffany, and interviewed them. So Platform Inspire's mission is to bring hope and affect change in our troubled times. And it's about bringing different stories like you're talking about, because even the young people that we see now, like you're saying, they trawl through. I didn't know doom trawling is that what you called it?
Scrolling. Yeah, doom scrolling it's a real word when you're constantly on your phone and you just see bad news, or you see it's a real thing, and it's not healthy, because I see kids today and they must be around 13 and 14 and they've got better iPhones than me. So, what does that tell you? So they're obviously more in tuned to, these apps and these platforms. So they're seeing more. Now, if you're a 13 or 14-year-old kid and you're seeing all this bad news, well, it's going to make you think, well, what hope is there for the future for us? Where can we go? How can I, learn this skill? Or more importantly, where can I find a group of people that, want to, dream? Yeah, of course. There we go.
Ta-da! The search is over. The search is over.
Yeah.
Phoenix Rising started off as a women's collective, but now it's men, women, and children. We realise that we just can't have any parameters, because everybody needs this right now. It really is, and also it's collaboration. There's all these other amazing women's groups, men's groups, all these other groups that we just want to collaborate with and just bring everybody together. But what's interesting though, Jake, because when we met, because I'm from a journalist background as well, and we were talking about that the energy is masculine. Now, we need both masculine and feminine for balance, of course. So we're not saying that one is better or worse than the other, but I left working for the media because I found it too aggressive for me. What's your experience like? And do you feel that it's getting better or worse, this doom and gloom kind of reporting, or do you think there's scaremongering? I guess there's lots of questions, but what's your experience of working for a red top?
I suppose when you're working for essentially what I would say the Sun's a right-wing paper, I think more so than ever, you've got a duty to report to your readers. And obviously, when you get a story, it often goes through like a filter system where it often goes through the editors, who then ultimately decide what goes on the page. Now, obviously, the Sun being a conservative paper, it's been a bit of a weird time really, because there's been so much backlash against the Tory party and the way they've handled the pandemic. But at the same time, we obviously the Sun have a duty to report the news as accurate as possible. So for me, my personal experience was I never really saw any sort of I saw perhaps a bit of bias towards it against this Labour Party being a Tory paper essentially. But from my own personal experience, the Sun was quite a fair paper to work for, and the journalists were quite they reported accurate news, and it often went for the editors and like into the paper. So I didn't see, it was quite a fair paper when I was there.
Really good to hear, Jake, because just with social media and everything, you were talking about doom scrolling. I love that term. I think it's brilliant. But you're actually being fed content that fulfills your belief systems at the moment, and I think that's a real worry as well, because the world feels really polarized right now, especially looking at what's going on in America and well, even in our own country. So I think that that's something that's really important about journalistic reporting, is that it's really balanced, and like you said, it can be difficult, because if you are sort of leaning towards conservative, or however you're leaning is going to impact the reporting. So it's really good to hear that journalists are being fair in their delivery.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, it's so important that we are fed news, because obviously these big papers and these big organisations obviously reach their audience not only on the telly, not obviously only in the papers, but on social media. So, we see the Good Morning Britons on social media, the Sun and the Times and the left and the right. And I mean, I follow all of the broadcasters and all of the papers, and I'm getting one view up there, I'm getting another view there, I'm getting an argument, I'm getting a pro, I'm getting a con, I'm getting a debate. So we're getting all of our news on social media, and obviously so many of us are on it. It's important that what we see is the truth, and that we're not getting lied to, we're not being misled. I am seeing, I suppose quite refreshingly, more podcasts now than ever. I'm seeing more independent news websites now more than ever, more independent papers now more so than ever. All giving their view, and obviously where they're not backed by a big company. I sort of see they are reporting the news because it's their passion and because they want to, and because they're not being controlled. And they're not being essentially told or swayed with what to put in their paper. See, so I think that's refreshing.
When you were submitting articles and you went through the editing process, did you find it difficult with your creativity to have words changed and language changed, or even your message changed at all? Did you find?
Sure. Yeah, I did a bit. I mean, The Sun is a very showbiz paper. I mean, the editor, Victoria Newton, is from a showbiz background. She was the editor of Bizarre a number of years ago now. So she was very focused on showbiz news. I was on Bizarre at the time. The majority of my time at The Sun, I was on Bizarre. So we wanted, showbiz, and we wanted gossip. And it was really tough when the pandemic came along, because we were, all the front pages of all the tabloids and all the broadsheets were the pandemic and the lockdown and the coronavirus, of course. But we were still really trying to push hard to bring splashy showbiz news. I suppose to give a light side, to give a bit of, we like showbiz gossip. But it was definitely outweighed by the front 10 pages of The Sun, for example, were about the coronavirus, understandably. But yeah, I found, when I would submit a story, or if I would get a report or a potential scoop, it would go through a filter system and it would be changed and edited, and sometimes juicy content where which I felt would look good, it would be taken out. But obviously I was only a trainee journalist being at The Sun, so I was in no position to tell them what and what not should be in the paper. Of course, it went through a heavily edited system and came out the next day. So yeah.
You can't be attached to what comes out, because you obviously have to realise that it's going to be edited. So from a creative perspective, there's just no room for creativity, is there?
Not really. I mean, I kind of enjoy, my creative side comes from my own writing. And I mean, I started off as a journalist in 2017. I was a columnist for my local paper, and I could have fun with that. I could be creative. I could stretch the truth. I could be funny. I could be punny. Often when you're a reporter, particularly for like a national newspaper, you've got to be, who, what, why, when, facts, bish, bash, bosh, and you can't really have any fun. I sort of find, I mean, I'm actually writing a children's book at the moment. I've been doing that for most of my, for the last couple of months. And I can have such fun with that, and I can escape, and I can get into the characters, and I can make a little world up and escape. And that's where my creativity is coming from at the moment. But it is quite hard to be a creative reporter at the moment. Yeah.
It's funny you said that 17, Jake. You said that you were doing journalism then, because
2017. Yeah.
Tiffany and I actually both worked for the teenage supplement section of our local paper when I was about 14 to 15. That was my only journalistic experience, but it was really exciting because we got to pick the stories that we were working on and go and like review all of the local restaurants and things like that. And they were quite good with letting us have our own content in there, which I think is really important. And I don't see a lot of that now, but I think that it's such a beautiful way to attract people into journalism, is to give them that freedom of speech and the ability to get involved with projects like that at such a young age.
Yeah, of course. I mean, the Sun was very encouraging. I mean, like I said, I'm still, I was a trainee at the time. I'm still very new to the industry, and don't get me wrong, the Sun was very good and very like, look, go out and get a story. You're free. If it's good enough, it will make the grade. If not, obviously maybe next time. Obviously being a trainee up against showbiz reporters, obviously senior showbiz reporters and editors, yeah, it was very tough, because being I suppose not as experienced as them, I don't have the contacts they have, I don't know the ins and outs that obviously they do, and that only comes with time. and there's obviously no way you can get around that. You know, to be a good journalist, it takes time. You're not an overnight success. It takes many, many, many years, 10, 15 years before you've got a big book of contacts and you know you can get a good story. But no, honestly, don't get me wrong, the song is very encouraging towards me and my education during my time there. I'm forever grateful to them for giving me the platform, really.
I think today I do a lot of auditions. Got my little studio behind me, behind the Platform Inspires logo behind me, and I'm doing a lot of auditions. And you know, it's a different time we're living in now. And I think that now we have to focus on the wonderful and great things that we can focus on in this new world, because, you know, in 2 months' time, we've been in this pandemic for a year. So it's no longer a different world. It's our world. It's where we are. And so for me, I've got this great good fortune of being in a place where I'm not locked down. Mm-hmm. I am able to really look at how people here in Mexico are living their lives with this new world, and how they want to be this change, and how they are actually collaborating together as well here. So it's wonderful for me to, and I'm in touch with, I get up at 6 o'clock in the morning here, which is 12 o'clock in the morning your time, because I have all of these beautiful things to do all day long. And what I'm actually really excited, and I'm really looking forward, and I just feel so rich by the experience that I had in 2020. My dad died. I had a cremation on Zoom in November last year, which again was the most incredibly extraordinary thing. When could 20 of us have possibly never have been at his cremation in Trinidad? And so, you know, it's all about looking at, for me, it's all hope. It's all about looking forward. You know, we've got these phenomenal organizations, these incredible people that are around that are so in tune to changing and making this new world. I don't want to go back. I don't want to go back to institutional racism. I don't want to go back to people disrespect. I don't want to go back. I want to go forward. You know, for me, it's felt a little bit like this has come along at a time where maybe humanity needs to reset, you know, a little bit of a reset button.
Yeah.
You know, let's, and you've got like Beyond Bamboo, you know, another organization that's part of Phoenix Rising. You've got Aura, you know, this gorgeous thing that Laura's created to help that mental wealth and help people's lives. I am so excited.
Honestly, I completely agree. And I repeat your message. You know, we're learning, you know, obviously through this new world and the way of working. But like I said at the start, there's never been a time where we've needed, you know, people, and we've needed to make new connections and look forward, you know, because this will be over one day. There is a light at the end of the tunnel, but it's just, you know, I'm so grateful to be among like-minded people that are looking forward and have that vision of, you know, creating something big. I share your positivity there.
It's a real time for innovation, isn't it? You know, even looking at the education system, my son's due to do his GCSEs this year, but that's been called off now, so he can't do them. But actually, he wrote a piece for an English assignment, which he got a distinction in, which was all about how basically you're based on how you're feeling on one day. So you go and sit an exam, but if you're stressed or anxious on that day, or you haven't slept, then it's going to impact what you put down. And also what he said is you're being graded on what you can remember, because you have to revise and learn things in order to be able to do your exams. So I'm really hoping, I mean, at Roundtable Global, we usually fly around the world delivering our programs in over 30 different countries. Well, we've had to innovate and change as a result of the pandemic, and that's what we've done. So now we're delivering our programs virtually, and we've just created a new suite of programs that are to help people adapt to a world where they may well not continue to go to the office 5 days a week. They might well have 3 days at home, and some places have said they won't even have offices left. So I think it's a real opportunity, this is. And if we miss out on innovating absolutely every area of our lives that is archaic, I would say, in a lot of respects, then we'll be missing a really, really important opportunity in history, I think. So we've got to make that change.
Absolutely. I don't know if we're allowed to swear on here, so I won't swear, but I kind of call it bullshit rules. You know, all these things that we've been told that we should do, shouldn't do. You know, you're meant to do this, you're meant to do that. I just feel at the moment that, you know, by 1 o'clock in the afternoon, I finish my day, I go and sit on the beach and read. In my head, sometimes it's like, well, you're not meant to be doing that.
Yeah.
So I call it a bullshit rule. I'm like, why not? I've done all my work. I can read now, right? But there's this little voice going, oh, I'm not sure. It's not customary.
I know what you mean, because since I've been in lockdown on my own, essentially, I've grown more fearless with like my like approach to new ideas, because you're not, you know, when you're obviously in an office all the time, or you're with, you know, a big group all the time, and they often giving their opinions and their thoughts and their like advice. But, you know, being on my own, I feel a bit like, oh, screw it, I can do anything, you know, like I can try and write a book, I can apply for that job, I can apply for this job. I mean, I'm applying for all sorts of bits. I've got I'm going to be like an extra in an independent film being shot in Kent this year. I never thought I could do anything like that, but I thought, I'm going to do it. I'm going to just, you know, sign up and apply. I got the role. I'm writing this book, so I just feel, yeah, fearless and like
being creative. That's what
really creative, exactly.
Everybody's just, like you said to me earlier before we started this call, it's like you're just in awe of all my creative stuff I'm just churning out. And it's just once you feel that momentum take you, there's no stopping you. Because even just 2 months ago, if someone had said to me, oh, you're going to post a little video of you naked in the rain on Facebook, which is what happened a couple of nights ago.
Yeah, I know.
And I'm like, I'm not, you know, there's nothing on display, just so we know, but it was on there and I did it. And it's like, what? It's the filter I found on Instagram that's made by Lady Gaga. It's so easy to create, but it looked so arty and so brilliant. And I just, honestly, but that's the creativity that we've got. It's there for everybody to take, and let's just grab it and just with both hands.
I'm loving seeing all the creative stuff that you're posting at the moment, you know, and I think it's really inspiring to a lot of other people, because I think we got to a point, hadn't we, where everything that you were looking at, it was like Instagram versus real life scenario, where you've got people that were just posting the same old stuff over and over again. So to see all of the different variations of creativity that you've been coming up with has been really beautiful.
It's amazing, because, you know, we are growing up in a world where, you know, we are often told how to think, or, you know, what to do, where to go. It's obviously amazing, Laura, that you've got something and you've just, you know, you've taken the ball and you're running with it, and you're not looking back. You're not, you know, you're just going forward, and that's what you need to do. You're being brave and fearless, and you can see the results in amazing. And I really obviously look up to that.
Because in this moment of life, for the first time in our lives, we've had an opportunity to stop. And when you stop and you're a creative, actually, it's the most exciting part for you, because the stress of having to rush out and earn money, and it's all taken away. So all of a sudden, as a creative, you get this golden opportunity to sit and create and hear yourself and be still and not blame and not, you know, all of these, and just actually go, okay, what do I want to create? You know, I go back to what Tanith always says, you know, about finding that thing that makes you shiny-eyed, you know, and I think that's what, for me, what COVID did. It was like, it made me stop. It took the pressure off of my head to go, I need to go out there and I need to be doing, actually, you can't. Yeah. You can't go out, you're not allowed. Quite simply, you're not allowed. So find something else to do. And that's what it did to me. It was like, oh, well, I can sit and I can read that book that I hadn't got a chance to read.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or talk to that person, or write that this, or write the, you know, it's marvelous. So I think for creatives, COVID really gave us this opportunity to open.
Yeah, and I've got to say, if people watching this feel that they aren't creative, or they don't know what that thing is that's grabbing them, it's quite easy to find. All I did was make a list of things that I enjoy doing. That. So what do I enjoy doing? Well, I enjoy making people laugh. I enjoy music, all the things. I just put a list, and I was like, how do I marry these things together? And then one day it just comes, and it doesn't matter how old you are, how young you are, whatever, it all comes in perfect timing. And
absolutely perfectly said.
The Phoenix Rising Collective can help people. That's the whole point. It's like, doesn't matter if you don't know what you're doing. Like, you know, there are lots of people on there that, look, one of my favorite sayings is comparison is a thief of joy. If we compare ourselves to each other, then it's just, we're never going to be good enough. And, you know, when I joined Phoenix Rising with Tiffany, I was like, I don't feel good enough. And then I remember Tiffany said, you're my equal. And I was like, no, I'm not, in my head. But now I feel it in my heart. We are all equal. We bring different things.
Yeah, it's amazing, because like you said, you know, when we do go on social media, I completely agree, Laura. It's all about comparison. You know, she's going on holiday, you know, he's bought a new car, you know, whatever. We're always trying to think, you know, compare our lives to. But the thing is, you know, one of my favorite quotes is, I think it's by Kurt Cobain, and it said, you know, to try and be somebody else is a waste of the person you are, or something along like you know.
Yeah.
Along those lines, and it's true. You know, you've only got one body and one brain and one heart. So be yourself, you know, be fearless. And you know, the incredible thing about Phoenix Rising is it's a group where we all push each other, you know, and we all encourage each other, and you know, we sort of don't put each other down. It's all about encouragement and going forward together.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lovely workplace to end, I think, actually, isn't it? Be fearless, be yourself, go and seek content that's not just doom scrolling. That's gonna stick with me forever.
Oh my God, I've so got it too.
And join the network, you know, join the network, especially those that are on their own at the moment. You know, this is an amazing network for connection, and I think that's what we need.
Yeah,
definitely.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks, everybody.
We will rise, we will rise, we will rise.